All right, Sego, my name is Samaya, and I'm Mohawk Turtle Clan from Six Nations. I started out singing more traditional music on my res. Maybe when I was like a teenager, there was more of like a social media presence of Escanye, which is like women's shuffle dance for my community. And so a lot of people my age were putting out videos of them singing those songs and like making their own. So I got really honestly inspired by that. And then I was always in like performances because I would dance for a lot of my mom's shows. She has her own dance company, so I've always been in the performing arts. But that was my real first introduction to music, I guess I would say, and writing my own escanyes. So that's really how I started singing. It always seems like I'm writing about love, you know what I mean? So I have a lot of love songs or like heartbreak songs. So um, I don't know. I feel like songs like that come pretty naturally to me. Um, but also, I guess I'm trying to find, and I'm currently exploring with writing songs that are about my experiences, but also maybe from like an indigenous lens, but not overtly like indigenous, I would say, because yeah, I think we all have a very unique perspective on the world. So, really making sure to experience all the things like love, loss, grief, or fear or batty energy, but from like an indigenous lens is what inspires me for sure. Yeah, so I released my first song called Nothing Can Kill My Love for You, and that was a very like indie pop song. Not indie pop. It was more like folk pop. And like folk is a really prevalent genre on my res, so I think that was my like one foot in the water kind of experiment. But people love that song, but like my style has changed a lot since then. Then I released All This Time, which is more, you know, like heavily R&B based. But since then, I was able to get like a skills and development grant from Ontario, and that taught me a lot about arranging, song production, all the different sounds that you can listen to, and I was also just experimenting, um, using Ableton and Live. My dada or my grandma like got me a drum pad, and Ableton just came with it. So I was experimenting a lot with that, and ever since I've done my own production, it's very, I want to say like funk, electro R&B, pop with like a little bit of techno too. Like I don't know, it's hard to explain what my genre is, but I've also been more recently experimenting a lot more with my traditional vocal techniques. We have a lot of kind of trills that are naturally in our traditional songs, and that's how I learned how to sing, and finding ways to incorporate that into my songs has been really really fun for me. And yeah, so it's always evolving though. I would like to incorporate maybe some more drum and bass going forward. The way that I started out too in singing, which I forgot to mention, is that I would do a lot of the soundtracks for my mom's dance performances. So I would do a lot of vocables. I'd write a lot of songs in the language. And then I did have a lot of my first experiences of music from her soundtracks in dance. So and she used a lot of indigenous artists tracks, and I got to meet a lot of them. And so I would say I vocally, and as an indigenous artist, I'm very heavily influenced by this women's group called Eulalie. They were in a lot of my mom's tracks growing up, so I just like always have that in my mind. And I actually got to work with Jennifer Kreisberg, and she's one of the members in Eulalie. And so she taught me so much. She's also indigenous from the state side. And she taught me a lot about, well, yeah, the vocal techniques, how to sing in like a chorus or a choir together, but in like an indigenous way, and then also how to pick out like organic harmonies. I think she had this really great metaphor for me. Like where she's from, it's a little bit more southern than me, and you can hear the bugs at night, and that there's like this really natural harmony that you can hear, and that's how she picks her harmonies. So I think like working with her, I developed that ear a lot more, and I think I've been told I have really weird harmonies in my songs, so that's definitely something in there in my songs that maybe you wouldn't notice if you weren't listening for it. So that is definitely one way, and even in my merch, like I have this bandana, and these designs are like my ancestral pottery design. My indigeneity is interwoven into like literally everything I do. Um, yeah, that's something that I've always, I would say, been aware of and trying to be cognizant of. I'm working a lot with like my manager right now as well, and she also does has a lot of really great like more commercially viable suggestions, I guess. So I've been working with her, and she's also indigenous. We're trying to approach almost like a brand that is indigenous, but having Easter eggs of what makes us indigenous hidden in there. So it's almost like if you know, you know. I think there's a sense of like um I don't know, I guess unity or exclusivity. I think that's really cool about branding yourself in that way, but it's still also really true to me because like it is something that is something I do know, and then like I get to share that with other people that would know that as well, or like have a chance to maybe educate people about it. As an indigenous artist, I feel like people have preconceived ideas of what that sounds like and looks like. Um, and I have done a lot of traditional singing before, and it seems like there's a lot of opportunities to do that for indigenous artists. But I think earlier in my career, it was kind of like, okay, well, what if I want to explore other genres, or like if I what if I want to reach even like non-indigenous audiences, like where are my opportunities to do that, and or like even grant opportunities to do that, like that didn't really seem available to me. But I think with the rise of TikTok and the rise of, um, like I just went to the Indigenous Music Summit, and like those opportunities to cater to like a more like, I don't want to say mainstream, but kind of like also to non-indigenous people as well, like has been growing, and I'm really grateful for that. I do think being in this industry, it does make you feel older than you are sometimes because there's so many artists that have already made it at like 18. You know what I mean? And it kind of, I had to even like grapple with it, and I was 22 at the time. That like I was too old to like start music, and I just had to really say to myself like, you know what, like that's fine, you can pursue music at any point in life, and you know it's better to start today than never. Honestly, I'm really excited about the production because I've been performing these songs live for quite some time, which is also how I chose which songs to put on that EP based on the responses of the audiences. But um I don't think anyone's heard like the final versions of them yet, and they've changed a lot, and so yeah, I'm just excited for them to experience the whole the whole song, and then just like the range of genres and songs that I have on it. It's everyone's asking me like, oh, what kind of brings it together, and I'm like, oh, well, they're all just my favorite songs. I'll be performing, and uh, a lot this year, but I am also in the works of doing my album, like a real long project album, set for winter 2024. So that's what's next.